Well, hello and welcome back, everyone, to another Market Conversations. I'm Jerry Hall, broadcasting from beautiful Costa Rica. Well, I'm going to tell you, yesterday was as wealthy as I've ever been in my life. And today, not so much. Welcome to crypto, everyone. Whether you're new or you've been here a while, it's never fun to see your value go down. However, I know that it's all temporary. This market continues to follow the course of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. So if you're new, hang on. This is a long game. If you're here for short-term gains, well, I don't know what to tell you. And I don't really believe I would have a lot to offer you in the form of experience or information. But if you're here for the long term, I think together we can all share our experiences and what we're learning with each other so that we become better, wealthier, and generally overall more confident investors. Speaking of investor confidence, this morning I opened my Daedalus wallet, as I do at least once a week, just to download everything, get my node up, get everything together. And I was notified that I needed to download and install the 4.4.1 Daedalus wallet. Well, if you've been in the Cardano game for a while and been dealing with Daedalus, you know that Daedalus updates are not that infrequent. They happen quite frequently, actually, and they're very easy to do. So I did it, and the wallet booted up. And I was looking at the wallet because I was going to take some screenshots. And there was something very interesting about the wallet today that I've never seen before. And that is half of my Cardano was gone. One of my wallets that contained half of my ADA was not in my Daedalus wallet. Now I have 5 wallets in there, some of them for different purposes. Well, I was quite shooken by this, seeing that half the ADA that I own was not represented in the only place I have my Cardano. And I freaked out. Told myself, okay, relax. There's a solution to this. Created an email to the IOHK folks support and sent it off. Now I got a reply. Some of you may come into this issue. For those who can't see the screen very well, basically it says, thank you for contacting the IOHK Technical Service Desk. We look forward to helping you with your request. This is a known issue. We are working to get it fixed. To get around it, please follow these steps. Please restart your computer. If you still cannot see your previous wallets, please follow these steps. Please verify your wallet recovery phase on Daedalus Flight or Yori. Open Daedalus, press Command plus D if you're on Macintosh, or Control plus D on Windows or Linux. Click on the Open Daedalus State Directory. Delete the content of the state directly, restart Daedalus, and restore your wallet from a recovery phrase. Now, what did I end up doing? I hadn't got that response yet. So I went to a brand new Yuri wallet that I had opened up for my daughter and did a recovery in the Yuri wallet, and boom, it popped right up. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. But there was about 25 minutes there, folks. I am not going to lie. I was freaked out. Well, I think this really dovetails into the topic for tonight. We have 2. One of them is security and custody of our assets, right? Why do I think this is such an important topic? Well, when I look at, let's just take Bitcoin, and we look at all the Bitcoin that we know has been lost. There's stories in other assets as well. Like I can distinctly remember the Matthew Mellon story with XRP, right? Millions of XRP that guy held in private wallets, those keys died with him. Those XRP are locked on the blockchain and will never see the light of day ever again. just like millions of the Bitcoin that's lost in hard drives that couldn't recover. I mean, the famous Bitcoin story from the creator of Coil, Stephen Thomas, he had one of these drives that if you screw up the password 3 times, the drive locks up forever. Well, he had 650 Bitcoin on it. And a year ago, he went to access it and forgot the password and had 3 failed attempts. Therefore, that drive locked up. He'll never see those 650 Bitcoin ever again. We know these digital assets are going to be lost. Sometimes through our own fault, sometimes just because we pass and our loved ones don't have the information, whether it be usernames, passwords, seed phrases, file keys, whatever. And when you're talking about limited supply assets, it's going to be interesting over time until something changes, that how many are going to get lost. How many of you in the audience, chime in the chat, how many of you have missent assets to addresses that you never got the assets back? Have you ever sent something somewhere and it was the wrong place? Right? So anyway, I have an incredible community member joining us tonight. Scorpzian is going to come in the house and we're going to talk about a solution he has to that particular problem. And we're also going to discuss just the state of the world, right? But let me get to the chat real quick and say hello to some folks. Simon, thanks for being here. Richard, can Cardano, Polkadot, and Solana 5X? Absolutely they can, but this is the wrong channel to find out when. I don't do time predictions, but of course they can 5X. It's a very baby market. Simon, I already said Simon. Kathleen, Bill Gould's in the house. We've got JJ. Chantel Barnes is in the house. I see DC Precise. Edward, nice to have you. Lori. Crypto and Coffee live stream TV. Excellent. What I see here, we got Farmer in the house. Kelly Slade. Nice to have you. So without further ado, folks, let me bring in Mr. Scorpzian. How you doing there, Michael?
Well, as long as my camera focuses on me, probably better. Jerry, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How many times did you wash your underwear knowing that you almost lost your Cardano today?
Well, that's a tough one to be specific. The fact is, down here in Costa Rica, it's kind of commando, 24/7 commando. So we don't have a lot of undergarments to watch. But I will tell you, there was a moment, like 20 minutes, where it's like, oh man, this would really suck to watch, $80,000-$90,000 go right down the shitter.
Yeah.
Gone and unrecoverable. But things are good. And I hope nobody else had that issue with the 4.4.1 Daedalus update. But if they did, I read off the procedure that they emailed back to me. You can always send a support ticket into IOHK and they're gracious. They're going to get back to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have the issue, so hopefully I won't. Cross my fingers.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you tonight, excuse me, Mike, is one, obviously we're going to get into VeraCrypt, but before we do that, in your part of the world, how are things going with, is your cost of living increasing? What are the things that you're seeing on a day-to-day basis? Cost of food, cost of gas, cost to repair your car, cost to have somebody work on your house, any of those kind of things. What are you seeing from where you are?
Yeah. So from the activities that I do, I am seeing, which is food shopping and travel with gasoline. I am definitely seeing a lot of food prices going up. And then when the sales are on, the sales are actually the original price that it was 3-4 months ago. So I'm seeing a rise in food prices. I'm seeing a rise in gasoline. I would say at least 30 to 50 cents over the course of the last month. And I am on the East Coast of the United States. So we are seeing that rise here. As for anything else right now, I'm not seeing that either because I haven't experienced it or I haven't had to have somebody come here and do some work and see what the cost is. So that's about where I'm seeing things are rising in prices.
Well, I've been working with this architect. So good news is Monday, I officially close escrow on the property. I will be a official property owner in Costa Rica. However, it's not Jerry Hall, the individual. Beyond Moon Farms is the corporation that my son and I are the managing partners of. And that corporation owns the property and will also own the actual business, Beyond Moon Farms, and blah, 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 blah. But so I'm working with the architect and we're going through costing models. Now, one of the things that he's pointing out is the schedules for supplies, steel, concrete, all these things, tile, all have these addendums, right? They all have these, addendums to them. Expect X% increase, expect this, expect that, because a couple of things. We've got supply chain issues, but I believe there's something a little more nefarious involved, or it feels nefarious, and that is the downstream effects of flooding currency into Costa Rica. The Costa Rican government absolutely has gone on a terror as it pertains to creating its national currency and distributing it through social programs and funding for services of its citizenry, right?
Yeah.
And it's that whole paradigm, more money chasing the same things, the prices go up.
Yeah.
And so it's been, I'm seeing it here where I am. And I know that different countries have different monetary policies in the way they either handle their currency units and who gets it and who doesn't get it and all that kind of stuff. But here in this country, it's real. It's happening.
Yeah, Bill brings up a good point too with the shipping containers. I know that I have a lot of family in Florida, and the one thing that they are out of completely in the stores are chicken. And I know up here we have plenty of chicken, but we have not a shortage, but it seems like that everybody's buying up rice. So I noticed when I was in the store last week, there was a lot of rice that was off the shelves. That seemed to be the one thing, but we were pretty well stocked, so that's good. But prices have definitely risen for the cost of food.
Right on. Well, Nick chimes in. This has to do with the Stefan Thomas thing. He says, not exactly. He had 10 attempts. He stopped at 2. And there is a code breaking team working on it. Okay. I did not hear this from Stefan's lips. It was a story circulated around Twitter, and that's how I remembered it. I easily could be wrong, and I have been wrong at least one time before. So anyway, let's jump into this incredible topic that I brought up a couple of weeks ago, and that was, how are we, the owners of these assets, ensuring a chain of custody to our loved ones, right? Because they're, Lord knows, unless I have some kind of special relationship with Coinbase, I can't set up a beneficiary for my account. Nexo, I cannot set up a beneficiary for my account. Kraken, I cannot set up a beneficiary for my account. Therefore, if I die, my heirs will have to go through some very expensive probate process to acquire my assets from these platforms. Not to mention, all the other stuff, like how do you, if you've got your Daedalus wallet and you've got your MyAlgo wallet and all these, blockchain specific wallets, how are you passing that sensitive information like your seed phrase and passwords and wallet names and things to your heirs? I had brought up a solution that I came up with my son, and that was Proton Mail. You chimed in the chat, and I thought, you know what, this deserves a lot more time. So why don't we discuss that? Well, how did you discover this process? What what was the big allure? What did you do? How'd you do it?
That's a great question, because I don't remember how I found this application that I use. What I do remember, it wasn't named what it was prior. They had upgraded the application. It's all open source, so it's free to use. And the idea behind it is that you can create an encrypted volume on your computer, and you can then store your confidential information in that encrypted volume. And all you have to do is, once you create the volume and you store your data, you'll basically create the volume with a password. What you can do, in an example for you, when you were talking about sending that data through Proton Mail and having that be a secure platform to send information over, I immediately thought of this application that I use, because you could take that file, that encrypted file volume, and you could put that in a Proton Mail email. Let's say in your example, send it to your son. The only thing he would need to do is he would put it on his computer. He would just need the password, and he would need the application to open it. And then you can have everything in there. So in my case, I store all of my confidential information and passwords. And I know probably I shouldn't be saying this over the air, but I store it in this encrypted volume, and I have it just in a text file. And I can access that data, and that whenever I mount that volume on the computer, I can access all that data. And it's secure, it's encrypted, and I would think it would take a long time for somebody to break it. And if they can, more power to them at that point. And I see that you put up the banner.
I did. JJ, what he means by volume is basically think big file.
A file volume, yeah. So you're going to create a space on your hard drive, and they call it a volume, and you're going to allocate a certain amount of space usage to that, and it's really like a virtual volume, and it'll allocate that space, and then you're going to mount that drive to be able to view it, just as if you were to map to another shared folder on a network. It would be the same concept.
Excellent.
And you can do it for really pretty much any file size that you want to do it for.
Well, because you're dictating the volume size when you set it up on your system.
Yes, that is correct. Okay. Yeah. So if you know that you're going to use up, 2 gigabytes worth of data, you would just mount this. You would just create this volume of 2 gigabytes, and then you could store 2 gigabytes of data in that encrypted volume.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I like it. So what do you say? What if your hard drive crashes?
Well, that's a great question. So what you do if you are concerned about your hard drive crashing, and I'm a proponent about this, and that is backup. And I'm not talking about one backup. You want to have redundancy. So let's say, for example, you have a couple spare hard drives or a flash drive that can handle up to the amount of data that you created that volume at. You can store that encrypted file on your flash drive. Some of the things that I do, for example, is I store it on a flash drive, and I have it in my man purse, and I bring it with me everywhere I go. So if, let's say, God forbid, something happened in the house, I still have that with me on my person. I also have it backed up 2 other times on other external hard drives, and/or you can store it in a cloud. You can, like you would do, you would just send that file to your son. and then he has a copy of it. So you would back up. That's, you want redundancy and backup, at least 3 copies of everything.
I like it. Let me say hi to Chris, Steve, and Bampa Mike. We use shipping containers for buildings. Right on. So what do you say, Scorp, that we just do a quick tutorial?
Sure.
Like I got you up on screen. You got your system up on screen there. Walk us through kind of the overview, and if folks can always come back and rewatch this for specifics. So I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you take the reins from here.
Sure. So the website page that you have up is where you'd find the downloadable files. They're available for Windows and Mac. For each one, you probably just want to use the latest version, and you download it and install it on your computer. It's pretty simple if you're used to doing that. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a tutorial in here. So if you go up into the help section, and I know this might be very difficult to see. So if you can put yourself on a television set, you probably see this better. But there is a user's guide. And what it'll do is it'll open up this window here. And we're just going to walk through basically the beginning tutorial, and we're just going to create a volume on the computer. And you can just follow this. This is what we're going to follow, this tutorial here. I'll walk you through it. And to answer Bill's question, I haven't had a sector or the volume get corrupted yet. But there is a tool in Veracrypt that will help you to fix the volume. So if there is corruption, Veracrypt has a tool to repair the volume that's created. So if I'll just drop this down. I'll leave this up over here. So what you'll do is when you open this up for the first time, you're going to see here that the Veracrypt system is going to assign a drive letter to this when you mount it. But before you even do that, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a volume. So we click on create a volume, and all right, it's going to open up on the other screen. I'll just move them over as we go. And a simple way to do this to get started is you're just going to kind of follow what the defaults are. And we're going to create an encrypted file container. So it's basically going to create a virtual encrypted disk within a file. And it's recommended for all of us inexperienced users. So this is perfect for everybody to use. And we're going to click next, and we're just going to create a standard volume. Now, this is for PC only. Let me mention that. I have not done this on a Mac, so I couldn't tell you if this is going to be the same. And I will say that it probably won't be exactly the same. So let's just go with the PC for now. So we'll click next. Now, at this point, what's going to ask you, it's going to ask you to select a file, but we're really not going to select a file. We're actually going to be creating a file. Why they say that, I don't know. So what we're going to do is I'll just put something, I'll just click on this. I'll put something on my desktop. All right. And we'll just kind of say here, Veritest, right? We'll just name a file, Veritest, and we'll click OK. All right. So now we have, this is going to be the name of the volume, Veritest. And we're going to have the path, whatever path we choose, and we create that Veritest file volume, and we're going to click next. Now, here's where we can get into the encryption section of the volume creation. There's many different types of encryptions that you can use. We can just stick with the standard. Don't ask me. I'm not an expert on encryption, so I don't know what all these mean. I did research a little bit, and I found that this happens to be one of the better encryptions, this AES two-fish serpent. So I'll use that for now. We'll keep all of this the same, the hash algorithm. We'll click next, and then we're going to assign how much space we want to allocate towards that volume. So let's just say we click over on gigabytes here, and we just say we want to just do 2 gigabytes to make it nice and easy. And it'll tell us how much free drive space I have and the availability that I can create that size volume. Nice and easy. Click next. We assign a password to this. Now, what they're going to recommend that you have at least a 20-character password.
Oh,
I know. I know it is daunting to have to come up with such, but it is definitely well worth it. So I'll just put in a password in here that's more than 20 characters. Oops, gotta do it again. Sorry. Bear with me. All right, and we do it one more time. Confirm it. Now, Jerry, this would be the password that you would be giving your son. Right. We'll just keep it. No. Okay, I'm way off on that one.
Oh, I already know. Okay. Thanks, Dad, for making me rich. And instead of using an I in rich, I use the number 1.
Yeah, or if you don't want to give him the password, just put it in your will with instructions on how to do this. That's another option that you can do. All right, so we have the password. We're going to click OK. Now, at this point, this is what they do. You want to just take your mouse and you want to be as random as you possibly can in this field to create this. And as you can see, the yellow bar says randomness collected from the mouse movements. At any time when it turns green, you can stop and then you can click on format. And that's going to create the volume. And you can see here, I'll put it up on the screen. Here's the volume. It just popped up. Pretty simple to do. A lot of other hacks and tricks and things you can do with this application. This is the basics.
I like the concept. And I want you. Are you almost done?
Almost done. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to shut up until you're done.
Yeah. We're just going to wait till this finishes up. And then what? All right. So we finished. Created successfully. All right. Now what we're going to do is we are going to cancel out. Now to open this volume, here's the volume I created. All right. To open this volume, we have to mount it. So we're going to use the application to mount it. So we're going to highlight a drive letter. We're going to find the file, which is called Veritest. So I'll just put it in here since it's right. It's Veritest. And we're going to choose mount. It's going to ask us for that long password we created. I'm going to enter that. We click OK. Let's cross our fingers that everything worked. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me move this over so you can see this is what happens when it does that. Perfect. Now we're mounted. You can see it populated.
So show me. Let's go to your file manager and show me the directory drive that it created.
Absolutely. Yep. So you could see here it mounted on the M drive. This is the path, the C users, and the Veritest file. What our encryption is. All you have to do, the path, so you can go right to the path in your file explorer, or you can just double click this and it'll open.
But I'm assuming in the future I'm not going to have that particular app up, but I always have my file manager.
Well, yes, but you'll need, in order to get into the volume, you have to mount it first to open it.
No, I understand that, but you mean I will always need to go back to that app to open my volume?
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. So if you unmount it, it'll close it out. It'll still reside in the location you have it, and you can move it around anywhere you want. If you want to store it anywhere in your Windows Explorer, you can store it anywhere. Yep. You just have to go to the path of where it is, mount it, put the password in, and now it opens. And you can see it open. Here's my M drive.
Right.
You can see down here in my navigator, I have M drive. All right. And now I could store anything in here. So if I wanted to put, let's say I have this file test, I could just drop it right in here. Now I just save that file in there.
All right. Well, let me ask you something. So if I'm a layman at home and I'm doing this, right? Let's say on a notepad, just on my computer notepad, I open up a notepad page. My Algo wallet username. Here's the seed phrase on a notepad. I put the notepad in this encrypted volume. Mm-hmm. Then it's there. Is there any remnants of that notepad still in my system that if somebody got into my system could easily find?
Not if you move it over, and there's no history that's saved either. And if there was history and you tried to open it when the volume is closed, you wouldn't be able to see the data in there.
Okay, that's important because I don't want to create crumbs in the rest of my unsecured computer that could circumvent the
correct
encrypted volume that I just spent all that time and energy creating. Wow. Right on, man. So folks, again, like Danny, nice to see you. If you just go back, rewind the tape, put it on a bigger screen if you need to, but you've just got a 7-8 minute tutorial on how to create your own encrypted little vault in your computer to safeguard your private keys and all this sensitive information that you may want to pass on to heirs, loved ones, what have you. Wow, good job, man. I like that, Scorp.
For JJ, he says that mounting is just a term where you're going to open that volume, you know, from its encryption stage. So when you mount it, it's going to allow you to open up that volume, so then you can put whatever data that you want in there. And you can put anything in here. You can put, if you have Excel files, you want to put precious pictures in here. You want to put.
I was just going to say pictures of farm animals.
You know, and what's nice about this application, if we want to talk about plausible deniability, you know, you have quote unquote that option to have plausible deniability. So now you're safeguarding. You could keep all your passwords in a text file. You don't have to use any software applications that are being sold to you. You don't have to use any online password managers, software password managers. This is something that you are encrypting yourself, and you can move this volume around. You could share it. You could back it up. You can go anywhere. When I travel, if I need access to all my passwords, I just make a copy of that onto a laptop. I travel. I have the Veracrypt on the computer, and I can open it up and view all that stuff. Now, the problem is if you make a copy of it and then you update it, you got to make sure that when you copy it back, you replace the old file so that way you have all the updated information that's in the volume. And that's a great way. I mean, I keep everything in there to be able to protect myself and have easy access to it.
All right, ML video explaining how to access coins. If so, best method. What we were talking about is how to encrypt private information like your private keys, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to put specific text for your heirs in the notepad of your computer, you can make detailed instructions, put them in this volume. It's encrypted. If they have the password and a copy of the volume, they can get in. Right on. Hey, Brady, do you want to chime in? You got anything you want to add to this?
Yep, there you go. He did it. Hold on, let me close the window. Good. Yes, I would. And I'd say where I've seen number go up, besides Bitcoin and such, chicken with bones. They initially would have whole thighs, which makes sense, but you can get a little more out of them if you cut them in such a way that adds weight, i.e. skin and fat and all the other lovely bits, so that you then sell the same weight or the same price, but lower the actual meat amount. So that's a fun inflation trick. And then, of course, 11.2 ounces of whatever those bottles are, whether Heineken, all the beer. But the hard one that I'd have to get data on, which I'm no data miner, would be the cost of food sold through delivery services through restaurants. Because that's typically all you see in the city is DoorDash and Grubhub and everyone riding around on bikes. So that's food. And what does that inflation look like? I don't know if the software companies would add taxes and just raise numbers, because depending on how many people it goes through, they each take their cut. Whoever is at the end paying the postman or making the food starts with a price. So I think it's slowly, gradually just going to start increasing, and whether that's going to inhibit people's desire to just keep sitting in their apartments and buying food off Grubhub, it's a crazy world out here. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what I was, one of the understandings that I was under was that coming into this year, right, which was supposed to be kind of this coming out of COVID, coming out of the supply shock environment that we were in, was supply routes would normalize, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things I'm finding really interesting is that there are certain sectors that are just absolutely getting crippled by this, right? Chip sector, just to name a few, right? You guys are talking about actual foods. And what that makes me wonder is there an opportunity for local food producers to try to get in and get some market share, right? I don't know, Scorp, where you're at specifically. I know Brady's in New York, but I know they have farmers markets. I know people come from just outside of New York and bring vegetables and meat and dairy stuff that they've grown there themselves. This, to me, would seem like the supply shocks in the food distribution chains are perfect opportunities for local folks to insert themselves. And they're generally always higher quality products anyway, whether it be the lettuces, the eggs, the cheese, the meat.
I think that would either reduce the drag upon impact or somehow cushion a blow somewhere. That does definitely make a lot of sense.
Well, down here, my eggs come from 2 blocks away. The butcher is raising the pigs, chickens, and cows on his property, and he's 200 yards from my house. I could walk
right
to his stand. The green grocers are getting from small garden farmers all over this area, and it is 300 yards the other direction. So a lot of the food I consume, except for the junk food that I buy that's in packages, all comes from right here. I mean, literally a couple of miles from the house that I'm living in. That's not common in the United States, but it is very common here in Costa Rica and really all throughout Latin America. If you seek it out, it's there.
Would you say there's a big price difference in the imported goodies?
Oh my God.
Like double or quarter more?
Matter of fact,
Yikes.
The cheapest way to eat here is fully locally sourced organic food. It's the cheapest way to eat.
That's quite the incentive.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Now, JJ asks, how will your heirs know how to access? Now, we addressed this several times, JJ, but for you, my friend, we will go at it again. You create the file. You show your heir where the file is, or give them a hard drive, right? A stick drive with the file on it and the password that you created to access it.
Yeah. Or you could put it in your will with directions on how to access it. The challenge you have with creating the file and putting it on a flash stick would be to if you updated that file, you would then have to update the file on the flash drive. So if you updated it on your personal PC, so to say, for example, and then you then need to then update that to anybody you're going to give it to.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Mike. I just got lost in the chat.
No, they're funny. They're funny tonight.
The hello from Socialist USA. Hello from Communist Australia.
Hamlet. I think it's America with a K now.
Anyway, so I was
Comrade.
hoping, I was hoping Bitta would come in and keep the kind of the party going. But one of the things I want to do, because tonight was really about I wanted to have this kind of be like a community-centered thing. Anybody in the chat, if you like to come in and chime in with an opinion on anything, please do. We'll give 5 minutes for you to get your stuff coordinated with Brady if you want to come in studio. And if not, we're going to close it down early tonight. There's no reason to go on and on and on and on and on unless there's something that is pressing. That
can I answer Mike Sweeney's
question? Please do. Jump in there, man.
So he's saying here, when moving your data from one device to another, won't that expose you even for a small amount of time? Well, look, nothing's impossible, right? So yeah, you're going to be exposed. But when you're creating this encrypted volume, the level of encryption is that or beyond that of any high-end government agency. So you're looking at lots of time and lots of computing power for somebody to try to crack that particular password that you put on there. Hence, the longer the password, the better. The more time you spend at the point when I was showing you moving your mouse around, it's creating more of an encryption on there. So, you don't want to be the low-hanging fruit, obviously. But if you're, let's say in Jerry's case, right, the example was to create the volume, put your data in there, put it in Proton Mail, send it to your son. He's got the password. He's got VeriCrypt. He can then open that up and view the data that Jerry wants him to see. Are you going to have somebody steal that information? I doubt it. I really doubt it. Somebody's got to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to do that.
But it's also noteworthy that nothing is fail-proof.
Nothing's fail-proof.
Nothing is fail-proof so far. So, we're basically all just trying to figure out best practices, right? And when we come across something that has some value, sharing it with the community is just a great way to go about it, right? Do I see myself doing this? I'll be honest, Scorp, probably not, because I've already done all that Proton Mail stuff. There's already an encrypted thing. I'm relatively confident in the encryption. Can it get broken? Possibly. I mean, hell, I woke up, did nothing wrong, and saw $80,000 worth of Cardano go bye-bye. And then had to, and then come to find out that it was just a bug in that particular 4.4.1 Daedalus wallet. And I hope nobody else suffers that shock that I did. Know if you do come across something like that, for you Cardanians out there that are using Daedalus, that there is a fix. Your tokens aren't gone. Everything will be okay.
We have professionals on the scene.
We have.
The adults are here. Just be patient in an orderly fashion.
All right. So has anybody reached out in chat, Brady, that would like to come in studio? No?
I did just check, and I report with no.
All right. Well, why don't we do this? Scorps and Brady, let's have you guys do final thoughts for the night, and we'll shut her down early and let people go back to their Netflix binge watching.
You want me to go first?
Oh, dude. I would love it.
Well, I'll tell you what you experienced today, I had a very similar experience with my Ledger and my Ledger Live. There was a time frame probably back in 2018 where I didn't touch my Ledger for over a year, and they had a major upgrade. And when I went to go look at what was on my Ledger, my Ledger Nano, I couldn't access the data that was on there. And like the experience that you had, I had the same one. I was sweating, hoping that I would recover which after some time, like you experienced, I was able to recover that. And that was a learning experience. And that kind of brings me into the point with this question that we all have is, now that we're being responsible and we're being our own custodians, there is that level of risk that we take with having to make sure that we are doing what we need to do to ensure that we have our coins, because it can be very scary, especially the amount of coins that you had, to know that the possibility that you could lose it is a very scary proposition. So over, I guess, the course of time, one of the things I've learned was taking my time, doing the right thing, making sure that we're doing stuff like Veracrypt. I'm encrypting this information so nobody can steal it, not being the low-hanging fruit, not sharing a lot of that data openly, having people hack into it. But more so than anything, making sure we're backing up our information, because like most of us probably know in this program, our computer crashes, our wallet goes down. As long as we have that 24 or 12 phrase mnemonic key, we're going to be able to reload that wallet and open that up, because it didn't go anywhere. It's still there. And hence the importance, I believe, in having a Veracrypt to be able to go in and reload your, get your passwords and reload that wallet. And with that, as long as my crypto goes up, I don't care if chicken goes up.
All right, Brady, bring it home, baby.
Chicken go up. That's I guess. Yeah, screw that. We're getting filet, man. I was actually going to say something entirely different, but then I thought, well, shit, hardware's heart aches and your throat dropping down to your kneecaps, and you're hoping that it'll come back soon. Good old Bitcoin half hour or 45-minute transactions is a fun time to try and stand up straight. But you have to do it, and it's annoying, but you need to avoid the HODL hardware fears. It's your money, and now it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
And it's moving your assets around on their blockchains isn't like riding a bicycle. You got to think of it more as like going to your financial gym, because literally every single time you plug in your ledgers, you may have to update. So it's just, the longer it goes without it, the less. It's like you kind of want to go with the flow and not be behind schedule on updating your things, just so that, well, take your responsibility. No one really wants to do it, but now that we are given the opportunity to do it, it's going to be huge, but it depends on how much you want to hold on to, and how much you want to make money, and how much of that you want to have learned through by being right, but not having it. So it's a balance, and we're all going to go for a ride.
Right on. Well, I'm going to start my final thought with this answer to ML. Any future discussions regarding passing to heirs tax-free? Yes. As a big part of this, my journey is learning what are going to be best practices for exit strategies, whether they be utilizing capital or custody through chain of ownership upon my passing. And so, yes, ML, that we are going to talk about those things as I discover them and learn about them, and then share them with you. Just like I'm hoping each and every one of you guys is sharing what you're learning about this digital asset space, what you're learning about the economy and economics and fiscal policy, and how your environment is changing your thoughts and your behaviors. One of the things that has become extremely clear to me is that the paradigm and mantra that I grew up with, get a good education, get a good job, buy a house, start a family, and save some money for your retirement, is all a completely flawed strategy and process in today's environment and has been for years now. It's really the mantra should be, and I'm trying to teach this to my son, make some currency units, make some money, get that money working in investments that are going to appreciate. If you can also find a yield component for that very same appreciating asset, then by all means do it. Have that be your primary focus. Educate yourself as you can, right? I try to educate myself on something every day or further my education on a topic every day. But that is the process. Get your currency units into assets that will appreciate and out of their natural environment of debasement. The value of money is being eroded on a bill by bill basis, year over year. It's sickening. And I don't believe there's anything going to stop it. And with that, I want to make sure that, and I remind you to all show up next week, because not only will we have Nick Black on from Crypto and Coffee Live, but we will have Emil Kolanowski, and we're going to talk about why should we be concerned about so much debt when countries have printing presses and can just pay their bills with new created debt instruments like bonds. Why should we be concerned about that? That's going to be next week. So thanks for tuning in tonight. And until next time, everybody, Pura Vida.